Do you want to hear something clarifying? What if the friction you're experiencing isn't actually a strategy problem, but rather a role problem? Because what if you're not actually behind, but rather operating from an outdated version of you that no longer works? And what if execution on your goals actually felt lighter when you start operating from the newer version of yourself rather than sticking with something from the past? Hey y'all, I'm Alex. I help capable and responsible adults reduce internal friction so that they can steady under pressure and achieve their goals. I created the SAFE framework, which is a structured system for clarity, capacity, and sustained performance. If you are done forcing the results and looking for stability that actually holds and contains to deliver the life of your dreams, then you are in the right place. So let's dive in.
If you're high functioning on the outside, but running on edge on the inside, you're in the right place. Welcome to Quick Drops for Deep Thinkers, where each episode contains nervous system science and practical structures you can do right away to reduce pressure so you can operate from steadiness instead of survival. Now let's dive in.
So at a certain point in life, it starts to become less about effort. Not because work gets easier, but because our roles actually start to change. Many people, as we grow in life, naturally the complexity of life situations, whether we're actually owning a business, we have a family now, we're growing in our career in a different way, but oftentimes we're going through life and we're growing externally, but we're not growing internally. And this is where that mismatch of energy can happen. We're stepping into these higher roles, but the role we hold within is still the same as it was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that gap, that's what is required for us to get to our ultimate goals, whatever that looks like in life. Between what these roles that you're growing into require from you internally and where you're still at. And if you're lacking behind trying to operate these higher level goals with these lower level identity roles, there's going to be a consistent mismatch of energy, and you're going to constantly find yourself in this weird gap that just nothing feels right, or like you can't ever get there to your next step. Something is always going to have a mismatch because the energy in which you're creating within is not in alignment with the role in which you're trying to level into. Hey, real quick, if today's episode is resonating, then make sure you join us for our free workshop happening on March 21st. And if you are watching this after the 21st, don't worry, we do these usually quarterly so that you can tap in and just connect with our community. So find all the links in the description and we'll see you there. This is why you find inconsistent execution and like the stability is just almost intangible. Like you can't really hold it, like you can't get there. And please understand, this isn't because you're lazy or you're a failure somehow. This is literally called an identity lag. Your internal system is still organizing and operating from the younger version of you that has to grow into these higher level version of ourselves in order to reach these goals. And when we don't have an identity update, that's where things create that gap and our life is not exactly as we want it to be. You might even find yourself saying thoughts like, well, I should be such and such by now, or if I slow down, things are gonna go awry or something bad is gonna happen. Or maybe you're saying, man, if this doesn't work this time, I've surely failed for life. These thoughts don't come from insecurity or because you're a failure. They come from assuming responsibility without recalibrating the inner identity. So from a logical cognitive standpoint, this is where your self-concept hasn't quite caught up to the identity and the roles. You're living in the reality and the tangible aspects of life right now. So if you're still measuring by old metrics like the hustle culture or how much, grind time are we getting in, how much pressure can you absorb, all of that, you're going to find yourself struggling to create that elevated identity role within to match these higher level goals, because life is not about hustling harder, trust me. It's first about getting clear on our identity. Then we can take that hustle culture, all that energy that it kind of assumes we all have naturally. It gives you the ability to actually have a focused goal and energy output to put towards your end goal, because now you have a clear defined definition of what it is you're trying to actually achieve, because your internal role has given you permission to level up externally in the reality world we live in. And this is how we shift from effort into orienting. And these key specifics are very important. So instead of asking questions like, how do I keep up or how do I grind harder? What's actually more useful to be asking yourself is, who am I meant to be in this phase of life? And this is where self-renaming comes into action, not as motivation, but as the opportunity to shift your identity that becomes more aligned with the roles and responsibilities you either are currently doing and maybe you're struggling and it's just like there's a total mismatch, or you're trying to elevate into, and again, you're still meeting that gap because your internal role hasn't given yourself the ability to receive these external roles of responsibility because you haven't recalibrated the inside from the younger version of you. Because maybe that younger version of you would have totally screwed things up. Maybe you wouldn't have been able to hold that responsibility. Maybe you just needed to mature and grow like we all do. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if our younger version of ourselves is still operating from that scarcity, lack, inefficient mindset, and we've identified internally with that role, then trying to achieve something higher isn't going to be possible. Or it's not that's going to be impossible. You can still achieve it, but you're going to just not be able to do it as well as you could. There's always going to be like mismaps or gaps or things that fall through. Things are going to be harder than they need to, purely because your identity role hasn't leveled up yet. Because one of the clear things we need to get focused on is not necessarily how you would like to be, but rather who you need to be now in order to elevate into that higher role. So now I want you to actually get very clear and choose 3 different words for yourself if this is really resonating. So the first word I want you to think for yourself is, how do you hold your capacity? This isn't ambitious. It's more like words like steady, sustainable, stable, something like that. Go ahead and pause this now so you can kind of think about this for a second. The next, I want you to choose 1 word that relates to your work or hobbies or your desired career choice and how you relate to that thing. This could be clarity, this could be boundaries, collaborative or collaborations. And the last one I want you to do is how you move decisions forward. Are you decisive? Are you focused? Are you committed? Hey, if this identity work is really resonating, make sure you head on over to our free workshop on March 21st at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, where we go deep into creating the safety and stability our physical bodies need in order to achieve these types of things that we talked about in today's episode. So if that is resonating, head on over to the links down below. And if you're watching this after March 21st, don't worry, head on over to our brief sheet that we tap into every single week, and we'll keep you updated with our quarterly events and all the amazing things that we do weekly to help you stay motivated, focused, and to live the life of your dreams. I want you to use these words as a reference point, not to inspire you, but to allow your body to be reminded of why you are physically doing this. Because motivation, it's very short term. We have to find something internally that really ignites that spark beyond what motivation alone can do. Because when you're feeling overloaded or like there's that gap, you don't need to do anything more or try harder. You just need to get clear on what role you are assuming for yourself. And this is why I asked you to define those 3 different words, because it gives you the clarity and reminding yourself who it is that you are wanting to be. What kind of attributes and characteristics do you want to be in your person? Because it's important we bring it out of the head and back into the body, and we actually feel these roles shift in our identity as well, which is why if this is resonating, you want to head over to the meditation that's tied to today's episode, because we go through exactly this to give you the ability to feel into, so you can actually move these words into action and allow your body to rapidly grip onto it. And if this is feeling like a bit of pressure, we're going to do a quick little simple reset so that you can get more aligned with what it is you're trying to walk into. So first, go ahead and take a deep breath in, get present in your body, and just ask yourself, where is the pressure of goal, achievement, whatever you're trying to walk into? Where is the pressure of that thing living in my body right now? It could be your jaw, it could be your chest, it could be your stomach, it could be your arms, back. Just get clear on what it is, and then kind of focus in on there. And now we're not going to focus in on that spot to try to fix it. No, we're just going to decompress. Because even if you can reduce the pressure by 1%, that's a move in the right direction. It gives your body the ability to have that space, capacity, and time to actually move things along. And if we can release that pressure, it starts signaling to our physical vessel, hey, It's safe to be here. It's safe to step into this role. Yeah, I know the outdated version of us might have been intimidated. The younger version of us, they may not have been able to hold the capacity. But today's version of me absolutely can. And I absolutely can achieve these dreams as long as I give myself the space to feel into that success. Because if we're not, then how do you expect to achieve anything? There's always going to be some sort of gap. But if you can tune into that gap, which we go a little bit deeper in the meditation, and you know me, I always keep things nice and short because you have a busy life. But at the same time, we can become even better versions of ourselves and optimize everything so much better when we can step into the reality that our identity needs to come with. Not because we're flawed humans and not because we suck, but rather the fact that we are all growing, or we should be, myself included, because the younger version of me 10, 15, 20 years ago totally could not hold the capacity I hold today. But she got here because she has grown slowly and allowed her identity to develop accordingly. And I want that for you as well, because when we can step into this role, we can do anything we want. We can give our children the ability to dream their big dreams and actually achieve them, because we're not stuck on these cold, hard, disastrous things, because we're not stuck on this old identity, but rather giving ourselves permission to elevate into something higher. And if today's episode felt like it was aligned, go ahead and make sure you hit the like button, as that is the best way to help us for free, helps people know that you like this episode and it was helpful. And of course, drop your comments down below. Share with us how this is resonating. What are some identity goals that you're shifting out of? Or maybe you have some questions. Let us know. I'd love to hear from you guys so that we can connect more. Before you do head out, I do want you to be left with one last thing. If you were to be operating from the right role that is best for you, what are some emotional baggage that you would stop carrying? Drop your comments below. Let me know how this resonated. Head on over to that meditation so you can really feel into everything you are needing to create your dream life. And I will catch you all next time. If you're high functioning but feel like everything is heavier than it should be, this workshop is for you. Our Structure Over Stress, March 21st, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, free workshop will break down cognitive drag, decision fatigue, and why pushing harder isn't working. We'll leave you with a practical stabilization reset, because this isn't therapy, it's structural clarity. And if you're responsible for results and want steadier execution without burnout, make sure you